I am 73 years old, and I'm about to tell you something that might upset you. Everything you know or think about getting older is completely wrong. The saddest part is that the people who could have told you the truth, your parents, your teachers, they didn't know it themselves. I spent the first 50 years of my life believing the exact same lies that you probably believe right now. I thought I had figured out the secret to life. I had the perfect career, the grand house, and the respect of my peers. But at the age of 52, a moment came that shattered every single one of my theories. In the 21 years since then, what I have learned about life and death has completely changed everything for me. But before I tell you what happened, I need you to understand one thing. I am not making this video to impress you or to prove myself as some wise elder. I'm saying all this because I'm running out of time. And there are things you need to hear before it is too late. Not for me, but for you. At 52, I had what doctors call a cardiac event. To put it simply, my heart tried to kill me. I was sitting in a meeting, arguing over quarterly figures, when suddenly the room started spinning. The next thing I remember is the white ceiling of a hospital bed, tubes coming out of my body, and my wife crying in the corner. The doctors said I was lucky to survive. I had just come face to face with my own mortality, and they called it luck. But they were right, because lying in that hospital bed, I realized a terrifying truth. I realized that I had been living my entire life on autopilot. I wasn't really living, I was just existing, checking off boxes and trying to meet everyone else's expectations. And the part that haunts me to this day is this. If I had died that day, what would I have left behind? A nice house? A bank balance? A collection of achievements that nobody would remember in 5 years? Now let me tell you the biggest lie you are probably telling yourself right now. That lie is, I have time. We say, I'll do that later, or when I'm older, I'll finally live the life I want. I see young people in their 20s, 30s, and 40s repeating these same lines. They say, when I make more money, then I'll be happy, or when I get that promotion, then I'll relax. They think, when the kids are grown, then I'll travel, or when I retire, then I'll pursue my hobbies. Let me save you 50 years of regret with one simple truth. That day you are waiting for never comes, because the goalposts of life keep moving. You get the promotion, and suddenly you hunger for the next one. You make money, and suddenly you need even more money. You're always chasing something that remains just out of your reach. And before you know it, you're 70 years old wondering where your life went. I did this too. I spent 30 years climbing the ladder of success, but when I reached the top, I realized that the ladder was leaning against the wrong wall. And the greatest tragedy is that you cannot climb back down and start over, because time does not work in reverse. Here's something nobody tells you when you're young. Success is a terrible goal. I say this as someone who achieved everything he set out to achieve. I made partner at my firm, I bought the mansion, and I had everyone's respect. But honestly, none of it mattered. When you achieve your goal, you feel amazing for about 48 hours. Then that feeling fades, and you're back to baseline. Then you need a new goal, a bigger achievement, more validation. It's a hamster wheel that never stops. I had a friend who passed away 3 years ago at the age of 68. He worked 70-hour weeks his entire life and built a multi-million-dollar business. He never took a real vacation. He always said he would slow down next year. Next year came, but it brought a stroke, not a vacation. At his funeral, his son said something that pierced my heart like an arrow. He said, "My father was a successful man, but I barely knew him." Is that the legacy and the memories you want to leave behind? Your regrets won't be about the things you did wrong. They'll be about the things you didn't do at all. I don't lie awake at night thinking about failed business deals. What keeps me up is the trip to Japan I never took because I was too busy. I'm haunted by the relationship with my brother that I allowed to deteriorate.
I miss the book I always wanted to write but never started. I miss the time I didn't spend with my kids because I was working late at the office. These are the things that eat you up from the inside. The opportunities missed, the roads not taken, and the love left unexpressed. We look at our parents, our siblings, and our friends, and we think we have unlimited time with them. But the truth is, we don't, and one day that time will run out. My father died when I was 45, and we had a complicated relationship. I always thought that when I was less busy, we would sit down and talk and fix everything. But we never got that chance because he had a heart attack and was gone within hours. Do you know what my biggest regret is? All those Sundays I didn't call him. All those invitations where I said, I'm too tired, I can't come. All those little moments I let slip away in my negligence. After my heart attack, I made drastic changes to my life. I stepped back from work and started saying no to things that didn't matter. I started saying yes to things I had postponed for decades. In these last 21 years, I have learned more about life than I did in the previous 52. The things that actually matter are embarrassingly simple. Time with the people you love, doing work that brings peace to your heart, collecting experiences and memories instead of owning things. I know it sounds simple, and if I were your age, I probably would roll my eyes too. You'll say, I have bills to pay, I have a household to run, and you're right. I'm not telling you to quit your job. I'm saying don't sacrifice what matters for what doesn't. I want you to ask yourself a question, and I want you to answer it honestly. If you died tomorrow, would you be satisfied with the life you have lived so far? Don't think about what people would say in your eulogy. Just ask, would you be satisfied? If the answer is no, then what are you waiting for? What are you doing with your time that is so important that you are willing to gamble your one precious life on it? I'm 73 years old, and I'm lucky enough to have good health since that heart attack. But every morning when I wake up, I'm aware that I'm living on borrowed time. We're all on borrowed time, really. But young people don't realize this. They think they're invincible. They think they have forever. But you don't. I have 3 grandchildren, and when I look at them, I see the same patterns. They're stressed, they're anxious, and they're chasing things that will never make them happy. I try to tell them, I try to share my experience, but they don't really listen. Not because they're bad kids, but because they're living in the storm right now. They can't see the patterns yet. They think their situation is unique and the old rules don't apply. That's why I'm recording this, in the hope that maybe, just maybe, someone will listen. Maybe someone will make a different choice and avoid the regrets that haunt people like me. Every single day, you are getting closer to death. Nobody likes to think about this, but it is the reality. Your parents, if they're still alive, are getting older every day. One day, probably sooner than you think, they won't be here. Your friends, your spouse, your children, none of these relationships last forever. So what are you going to do? Will you postpone that phone call again? Will you push that trip to later once more? Or will you wake up today and start living like your time is limited? If I could go back and talk to my 30-year-old self, here's what I would say. Stop trying to impress people who don't care about you. Stop sacrificing your health for your career. Stop putting off joy until someday and stop waiting for permission to live the life you want. Start calling your parents more often. Take the trips you dream about. Do the things that scare you and say no to obligations that drain your soul. And most importantly, start now. Not next year, not after this project, not when you have more money or more time, but now. Because I promise you, the perfect time will never come. Life will always be messy and complicated, and there will always be 100 reasons to wait. But if you wait, you will wake up one day and realize you waited your entire life away. I'm 73 years old, and I'm lucky enough to have good health since that heart attack. But every morning when I wake up, I'm aware that I'm living on borrowed time. We're all on borrowed time, really, but young people don't realize this. They think they're invincible. They think they have forever. But you don't. I have 3 grandchildren, and when I look at them, I see the same patterns. They're stressed, they're anxious, and they're chasing things that will never make them happy. I try to tell them, I try to share my experience, but they don't really listen. Not because they're bad kids, but because they're living in the storm right now. They can't see the patterns yet. They think their situation is unique and the old rules don't apply. That's why I'm recording this, in the hope that maybe, just maybe, someone will listen. Maybe someone will make a different choice and avoid the regrets that haunt people like me. Every single day, you are getting closer to death. Nobody likes to think about this, but it is the reality. Your parents, if they're still alive, are getting older every day. One day, probably sooner than you think, they won't be here. Your friends, your spouse, your children,